but it depends, right? It depends on if you already have the background. It depends on what you got. I love that. I love you helping them out. And I do agree. Sometimes doing something for yourself is helping somebody else out. That's the razor edge to walk, because a lot of us that are starting out, we don't have the confidence to charge. In this case, it's not that you don't have the confidence to charge. You just want to help these dudes out. You've already been shooting cars for so long, you know exactly what you need to do, what you can do. So it's not like you're putting yourself in jeopardy. Whereas when I was starting out, I was getting ready to do a lot of free work just because I felt like I needed to have work to show, which you do. But if you don't have other streams of revenue, are you putting yourself at risk by doing that? Almost certainly.
Already talking trash. We can't even start the show right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here on Creative Journey. I am A.B. Wright, and with us is Wolf Howard. What's up, Wolf?
Name the last time I talked trash. What are you talking about?
Every day, man. What are you talking about?
Man, nothing but serious, composed, and professional. Good morning, everybody. What's going on?
Y'all don't listen to that. Don't listen to that.
I'm here to be serious.
Hey, man, we wear all sorts of hats, caps, hats, everything. And I ain't talking about, I don't even like using the term cap no more, because that means some kind of fib is coming. Anyway, cap. Unrealistic.
C-A-P. Have you seen that meme?
No, I haven't.
It's like a kid spelling out cap. Oh, it's my favorite thing. People will cut it together on like reels and that, and then like somebody will say some bullshit, and they'll be like, cap. Oh. C-A-P. Cap.
Well, hey, I guess there's nothing wrong with it when you're calling out lies. So hey, let's go with it. But I'm talking, yeah,
hats.
Figuratively speaking, hats. Yeah, whatever.
Figurative cap. So,
man, before getting set up this morning, I jumped in the shower, and there's oftentimes, pretty much every time, there's some creative thoughts that come to mind. It may be about a particular project. It may just be about the past. It may be about just goals for that day or for the next day. And I was just thinking that when we get off this podcast, I'm going to go to the mall. I don't go to the mall that frequently. Even the missus will tell you that, going to the mall with her is really letting her go shop. If I'm going for something specific, I go in, I get it, I am gone. I am not wasting a lot of my time at the mall, window shopping, or spending money that I don't even need to be spending on stuff that I absolutely don't need. So today is a little different. Because I wanted to go, I want to go check out some cologne that is there. And let me see if I remember the name of this cologne. I got turned on to this by the late great to me, Kevin Samuels, very controversial man, image consultant, especially for us black men in the community, and just men in general, but for us black men in the community, for creators and what he liked to call or coined it as high value men. Maybe he coined it, maybe he didn't. I don't know, but he's the only person I've ever heard that term from. For high value man. So this particular cologne is Bodicea the Victorious. And I like colognes. I like style and dressing up and looking the part. And I own some Tom Ford colognes, and that's about the most expensive I've ever spent on cologne. And I can tell you this stuff is pretty expensive, but and when I say expensive, we are talking, I think the least expensive about $300. I don't remember the number of ounces. In fact, let me pull it up now.
Oh man,
yeah, $295, and that's a 3.4 ounce bottle. This isn't the collection that I want, but certain collections definitely cost more. And I see that it has, it's up to about $1,000 per bottle. So we're not talking inexpensive, watered down colognes. We are definitely talking experienced cologne. But the thought that was running through my mind in that moment, I was like, well, can I afford to buy it? Yes, I can. Do I want to buy it right now? Is it needed right now? No, not really. It's just something I just want to go smell it and get a pricing of it that's in the store if they have anything going on with that right now, any gift sets or anything like that. So again, I don't know if they do that with this or it's just by the bottle. Certain colognes and perfumes, it's just you're going to get the bottle, no gift sets. So I was thinking that, and in the moment I thought that in terms of not just affordability, but being able to downsize the amount that I buy, I recalled an experience going to the BMW dealership some years ago. And when I went there, I went to look at the E92 M3. This particular year that they had was a 2012, a 2011, and they also had a newer one, an F82 M4. That's when they had changed the two-door to M4. And when I went and checked it out, I did end up test driving both cars, but I remember this is the time when they still had brochures or books, and the books about the car, and you get to see the pictures and you get to see the interior and exterior colors, all this stuff. And I remember the guy talking to me, the particular salesman, he also gave me the one on a 5 Series. And he was just like, I know you can't, you're not able to buy the M car right now, but maybe in a couple of years, you probably can get into a 5 Series first. And I remember that conversation because I have both of those books. And, the crazy part about that is not only do I have both of the books, I own both of the cars. And I got the E92 M3 first. And because the Mrs. wanted to get out of the Volkswagen that she had a Volkswagen Jetta GLI, fully loaded. I think it's like Wolfsburg edition or something like that. No, Autobahn edition. And it had everything that car could get, but she just wanted a BMW. She wanted a car that she would enjoy driving. And lo and behold, we ended up finding a 535i M Sport, the whole nine, everything she wanted. And she barely even drives that car. I think I drive that car more than she does, especially during the winter. During the summer, it doesn't really get driven. But that's another story. But the thing was, I just was amazed at how when you think about attaining things, possessions, or even greatness, sometimes you water down your ability to do it. And sometimes you may not just water it down, someone else waters down your ability to do it because they don't see where you will be in the near future. Now, I'll give the guy credit. He believed in me enough that he was like, hey, you know what? I believe you can do it. In fact, let me give you another example to think about just in case you don't quite reach that milestone. And those, in fact, are the kind of people that you need around you. He didn't necessarily piss on my dreams of getting the M3 or piss on my dreams of getting something that was that cost more. He just said, you know what? I believe that you can do it, but just in case you don't quite get there, here's something else to think about. And I don't know why thinking about buying the cologne today and going in already thinking about, I guess, pricing. I'm not sure exactly where my mindset was going in that, but that's kind of how storytelling goes. You think about things and then it cues up memories that there are life lessons in those memories. Like when's the last time that you have had some random thought about something, or maybe had some thought about something that brought about a random thought about a similar experience and then the lesson learned from that? And what was that, if you don't mind sharing?
I have no idea, man. That happens all the time. Shoot. It's a great question. I feel like what I do that a lot with audio equipment. I've done things like that where so like recently I was looking at this actually I guess the whole camera shopping experience I'm doing right now, right? Because I'm thinking like, okay, how do I level up my ability to record high quality content, and how do I capture more interesting environments, or how do I do these interviews live with people, right? And so I'm looking at a Sony Alpha 6000, I think it is. And then there's a Sony ZV-10.
You
So
said
I'm
6,000?
Alpha 6000, I believe, 60000. It's like one
Okay.
of the more popular from 2010.
Okay, that one I'll tell you now. Just since you brought it up, the 6,000 is a more photography driven
Yeah,
camera. So if you,
discontinued, and it only does 1080p. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So, but like I said, its capabilities are in. You have cameras that are more, at least Sony line. You have cameras that are dedicated specifically to photography. Maybe
yeah.
you can record. Then you have hybrid cameras that do well in both, and then you have cameras that excel in video. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, and that's exactly the thing that so like now that I'm doing that, I'm doing the whole let me watch every YouTube video on the planet about cameras, and it's all these comparisons and which one's right for you. So you keep on hearing the same things from these content creators about, well, this line is better for videography, this line is better for photos, this one has the microphone on it, this one doesn't.
Right.
And that kind of takes me back to in my music production days, I kept on trying to figure out what is the keyboard that I want to get, because I wanted to get like a better keyboard that had like fully weighted keys, I thought. And the fully weighted keys cost like 12K. But then if you get one that's semi-weighted or just feels a little bit better than the cheap $200 keyboard, that lands around 600, right? So like you get these ranges of prices and you start thinking, well, what is it that I actually need versus what I just want to have? Because in the past I've bought things that were way more expensive than I needed, and I immediately had that buyer's remorse, and I was just like, I'm never going to make good on this thing. Should I just return it right now? Have I just sank $1,000 into something that's just not nearly what I need with me?
Right.
I don't know if that, I mean, that's kind of just reminds me of the example you gave around pricing, and like when you're thinking about attaining it. Well, in this ideal vision, I have this super cool keyboard and I'm practicing every day and I'm playing like fucking John Legend or something. But in reality, I just need something that'll let me play a little bit more naturally. So maybe I should go for something that feels generally better equipped to where I am, instead of trying to act like I'm a professional musician now. But then the thing is, when you do that to the watered down point, I keep on finding that I'm buying things that are like not a drop in the bucket, but cheap, like $150 equipment, not crazy, right? And then you hit limitations. Like I got a key light over here with a cheap old tripod. If I had invested in a proper tripod in the first place, I would have saved myself the $60 on this thing, and I could have just paid $150 for a nice one that'll stay with me for life. So like every time I'm going through these buying processes, I'm seeing, oh, that's super affordable, I can just start there. But if I just start there, the frustration of the lower quality equipment is going to keep me from doing the thing I need to do. I should probably go for the middle ground and hit something better.
I could understand.
It kind of answers your question, but that's generally like when you talk about that watered down thing, I think that's where my mind goes. I didn't look at this camera one time in that whole thing. I'm looking at you down here. I need to reorganize this setup. All the same.
I got you.
That's
No. That's what you were able to take from that. And like I said, I didn't even know necessarily where I was even taking that. It just was such a stronghold in my mind.
Yeah.
From this morning, and I just thought to share that because I think that it crossed my mind before when I went thumbing through some stuff that's in storage, and I found the old magazines, and then those were in there, and I was like, wow, this I did end up with. It's like the vision board. You put stuff on the vision board, and I got plenty of things on the vision board that I have attained. And it's like I went, I sat in, I test drove, I positioned myself to be in the moment to realize that I can have, maybe I can't have it today, but I can definitely have it in the future. And here comes two pieces of tangible memorabilia that says, you did it. That reminds you that, hey, remember when you couldn't? And now you have them both, not even just one, not even just the one that he thought maybe I wouldn't get, but I also had the other one too. So it was like, wow, how powerful is that? So
Yeah.
yeah, that was wow.
Now that kind of reminds me. Okay. When you put it that way, now I'm thinking about, so I just got that job offer. I accepted the job offer.
Good.
And
Congratulations
thank you.
again. Yeah.
That's starting in April. And that whole interview process actually reminded me of the last job I had gotten. And I just felt it reminded me of this sense of kind of like being way too lucky or blessed, however you want to phrase it. It's like I truly interviewed for one job in the last year. And what ended up happening was I wasn't a good fit for the job I was interviewing for, but I was a good fit for the company. And they are writing me a position to come in and do what I'm good at for them. Right. That's
Good.
not common from what I
No.
understand. And in my last job, I came into a position that I was a decent fit for, but I ended up writing my own position there too. So like I came in as a CX associate. I saw where I wanted to go, and I just applied my skill set as best I could into the day to day. And I kind of just like very quickly scaled from what was an entry level job into being able to be a pretty big contributor, I think, on the tech side, which is cool. And that's not to brag. It's just to say, it was odd that I was able to just get into the room at this company and people had this sense that this guy fits. We should bring him in and see what happens. And we can see him growing into it. And I grew into something great. And then this new company, it feels very similar. It's a similar culture. And it feels like, I guess this process of interviewing and getting this role has reminded me of that experience around sometimes the magic is just there. Sometimes it just fits. And like, I wasn't necessarily looking for a job, but the opportunity showed up. I applied for it and somehow it worked out way better than I could have imagined.
Right.
Yeah, that blessing. And it's different from yours because I didn't even have this written out on like a vision board or anything. But once I was into it, somehow it just fell in place. Yeah.
It's about, I mean, in your particular case, it's about making the impression. Uh, when it comes to employment or, oftentimes I'm thinking of films, maybe you go out for a role, you go out for a job, and you make such an impression just due to your charisma, just due to your belief, your overwhelming belief in yourself and the value that you bring. Maybe this particular thing isn't for you, but you leave such a lasting impression that when I come up with or I communicate with someone else that has an idea that you fit the mold for, then I remember you and then I recommend you for that.
Yeah.
So that's what my takeaway is from you in that, and that's often the case. That has been my experience, and it's great when you have people that have shared or imparted that knowledge and wisdom with you, so that you're able to go do that. Sometimes we learn it on our own, and we later recall it. And sometimes someone champions us and says, hey, this is how you should do it. These are the key things to keep in mind. So when you are in that space, you're already prepared for it. You already have the experience in it. Now you just got to do your part and show up. And again, if it's just not for you, then it's just not for you. But it's not because you failed at showing up. It's not because you failed at believing in yourself. It just not was for you. But what is for you will come. And it's always great when it's someone that you have impressed enough that they remember you and say, hey, I got something for you. Remember that last time? That wasn't for you, but this is. How about it?
Yeah, right on. That makes me want to flip it, though, and think about, because then in the last year, I wanted to attain this status of being a successful entrepreneur just off the bat, just killing it all on my own, able to sustain my own business. Hasn't been the case, right? So it's like the thing I wasn't even looking for falls into my lap. The thing I was putting all my energy and effort towards for a year Maybe I was forcing it. Maybe my perspective wasn't in the right place. I don't know. That's an interesting, like the M3 and the 5 series are things that you wanted, had a brochure for, and kind of manifested into your life. Then there are the things that you throw on that vision board that just never quite come together, you know?
Mm.
And it's like, is that just for another time, to your point? Or is that something that only parts of the vision can come to be? It's a, now I'm just getting philosophical.
Yeah,
Anyways.
you are. Yeah, you are. But those are things that, I mean, that in itself is a thing to think about.
Yeah.
It's a thing to think about. Um, hmm. Wow, it's a thing to think about, and I'm trying to think about it right now too.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been manifesting a motorcycle for the last like 3 years, and I just haven't. That's one thing though. I haven't put effort towards making it happen. Right. I have not put together a budget to get to the motorcycle. I haven't put money aside. I haven't researched and found the right motorcycle. I just keep on thinking it would be cool to have a motorcycle. Same for snowboarding. It would be cool to learn how to snowboard. Haven't put
Right.
any lessons. Didn't schedule it in the calendar. It didn't snow this year. I probably would have given it a shot, but that's easy to say in retrospect. So it's
Right.
like,
Right.
where do you put in the effort to show up and actually make the thing tangible? Manifesting is more than throwing it on a vision board. It's taking that vision board and putting it into action, execution, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And the thing is, just make me think about how we oftentimes don't execute on showing up for ourselves. It's easy for us to show up for others. And that's just in passing. It could be someone you just met at the train station, on the train, at a restaurant, wherever, and you have a moment to communicate, you share stories, and something that they're struggling with, you identify with it because either you're struggling with it currently or you have transcended beyond that and you share that knowledge and wisdom with them, and you root for them, and you try to inspire them and you try to motivate them to do it. But in hindsight and well beyond that moment, you may be going through the same thing or something similar, and we can't motivate ourselves to just commit. You're making me think about the conversation last week pertaining to the gentleman, the videographer. And although we've talked about it already, the update here is that he was successful. He executed on the advice that I shared with him. And it didn't happen necessarily the way I thought it would, but it happened. So,
and just to re-tee that up, this is the gentleman who had kind of a 50-50 choice. He wasn't sure if he wanted to go this way or that way. And
no,
he said,
this is not flip the coin. This is the gentleman from last week. I think we talked about that in a previous episode. But this is the one specific to last week. And because I talked about the two people, one was pertaining to the chef, and then one's pertaining to the videographer. And basically, he did pitch. He stated that he did ask the questions that I advised him to ask, and then he came back with acknowledging that he was going to need to increase his resources and also reevaluate his pricing. And basically, he pitched the pricing, and he pitched $1,800. The young lady agreed. However, after looking at
proposal, services, contract,
looking at the proposal as well as the deliverables. Wow, why was I going blank? After looking at that, she reached back out to him and let him know that not only did she agree to what he proposed, she bumped it up to $2,500. And the amazing part about that was when he let me know that, he was just like, "Man, you were right." I was just like, "Well, first off, that's God." And I said, second off, that was you executing and actually doing it. I gave you all the advice, but
Mm.
if you didn't say a thing or do anything, then it couldn't have happened. And the key part to it was the 2,500 is what I told him my minimum would have been.
Mm.
So it was in that moment that it made me think about how much energy we give to other people, like we were just saying, versus ourselves, and
Mm-hmm.
that we pour into people that are not in a place to really execute. Maybe not today, maybe eventually, but not today. And
Mm.
it's great when you have someone that executes on what you share with them. I mean, knowledge and wisdom, people are paying for that every day now on social media. You know, there's constantly a bombardment of you shortening your time from A to Z by taking me up on my offer of
Mm-hmm.
imparting this knowledge and wisdom. But you know, the biggest part to that, this whole thing of buying information, it doesn't do you squat if you don't practice and execute any portion of it. And I don't even think
Mm-hmm.
all of the information itself is going to necessarily get you to where you're trying to get to, because it takes a constant theme of executing and being persistent and persevering through
Mm-hmm.
things. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
just happen overnight. But if you're paying for the information and not even using any of it, then what's it all for? My lesson learned from that was I made a vow to myself that I'm going to move and do things that I need to do to better myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I cross paths with someone that I'm able to help, then great. But I'm not spending all of my time trying to help others see what I see in them that they can't see for themselves. And I can't say I see it exactly the way God sees it in them. I'm now coming to a place where I'm seeing me the way God sees me.
Mm.
And He didn't give me all these gifts and talents to bury them and hide them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. We just have to believe it, and not only believe it, execute on that. And if people aren't willing to do that, my lesson learned from that gentleman from the videographer was that some people are ready, and they'll let you know that they're ready, because they'll come to you, and that's what happened. He came to me
Mm-hmm.
and executed. In these other cases, I'm reaching out to them because I see them. I see what God has for them, but they're not ready to execute. So I need to spend more time on knowing what's for me and executing what's for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really important distinction. Just in a brief scan of my memory banks, I don't know if one time I saw someone in need and I asserted my position to help and they actually took action and made change. But of the people who came to me asking for help and I provided them advice, way more commonly, they actually either took it into serious consideration or went out and did the thing. Um, and that's not about my advice, right? That's about the mind state of the person who's asking. If somebody is saying, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, and doesn't say what, like, doesn't have a specific question that indicates that they're already figuring out a path, that may not be somebody who's ready to walk in the first place. They may just be sitting down, mulling, whatever you want to call it. Um, and that sense of forward motion seems so important, right? To the point of what you're saying, where it's, I'm going to execute for myself. There are so many opportunities to see what feels like a big opportunity that you build up in your head, and you make really, really a grand sense of, okay, if I can just get this, this is the thing. But so rarely is that actually the case. If you just stay in constant motion, if you don't sit there and wait for somebody to look over your proposal and decide for you, but you say, okay, I'm going to put this into action and then go keep on moving, you don't have the time to get stuck in all of the thoughts of what should I be doing, or is this the right thing, or will they take the offer? You should already have 10 more offers lined up when you're really in motion, and it doesn't matter if that first one doesn't pan out because you're just taking the action day after day.
Right.
Yeah, staying in motion. I get caught up on that a lot. When like a good big opportunity comes up, I spend way too much time on the one thing, and I've started to realize this and adjust for it. It's like just treat every opportunity as an opportunity. It's valuable, but there will be others. Prepare for it, but don't make it the thing that will make your business. It's that kind of sense of stoicism, I guess, you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Props to your boy for actually taking action too, because bumping your prices up is stressful, man.
It is. It is when you don't believe that you're worth it.
Well, right. When you've never seen that paycheck go through before. Yeah.
And it definitely takes the first time. It's no different from asking for a raise or going into a job interview and asking for, a certain salary or hourly wage. Is no different than that, because when you know the value that you're bringing, then you will ask. When you don't know your value or don't even care, it's just a paycheck. I just need to make X amount of dollars. Just if you give me the minimum, I'm good. But I promise you, they see your value. Employers see it. Businesses see it. Friends see it. Family see it. And if they can get away with underpaying you, unfortunately, there's a lot that will do that and be able to sleep at night. But there's some folks that will see your value and will insist on paying you at least that or above that. Think about going to a restaurant and eating. Some of us that tip, especially those of us that worked in the restaurant industry, I know that you've talked about that you have. We worked in the restaurant industry. We understand what it means to take care of our guests and be attentive and to be able to get them what they need before they even ask for it. We know that they are ordering steak. They may or may not want steak sauce, but I'm at least going to ask if they want it. Whatever it is, that's just like the simplest thing I can think of. But whatever that thing is, thinking ahead and executing before they even ask, refilling tea or whatever it is, so that they can just enjoy the experience, the ambiance, the people that they're with. And therefore that encourages them, at least we hope that it encourages them to tip us more. But if we don't care, we're constantly in the weeds. We're constantly not taking responsibility for whatever. Even if the cooks messed it up, we're not doing what we need to do to try to appease the situation. Then, what's our value to them? Probably enough to be no tip, enough to be 15%, 10%, but we're striving to increase our value so that they're giving us or they're gifting us, 20%, 25%, 30%, hell, sometimes even 50% with parties and stuff like that. So it's no different than that. When you know your value, the people that see it and value it as well, they're going to pay it. They're going to pay it. But if you never see it and you're not walking in confidence in it, just like we go back to your interview we was talking about earlier, if you don't have the confidence and showing value to leave an impression, then you're forgettable. I can't pay you what you're asking. Can't even hire you.
I will say, though, as an analogy, to the server example for the service business, the best servers I know aren't thinking about what they're getting tipped when they're serving their tables. They just have a baseline high expectation of the value they're going to provide to their customers. And that's something they pride themselves on. They're not even thinking like, okay, I'm going to try and get a 30% to 40% tip range today. They just say, for me to feel good about my work today, I'm going to make the people at my tables feel good about coming in today. Bar none, nothing else is getting in the way of that. I'm going to think only about what they need for the next few hours as we get through service. And then at the end of the day, you do whatever you need to do as far as like, this table was awful, this table was great, you know, like you express the feels, but in the moment when you're serving your client or customer, there is nothing that's getting in the way of how can I give them the best possible experience while they're in my hands, right? And I think that's the same thing with creative services or anything where you're providing value to somebody beyond developing a product. Even then, that it's like the customer centric mindset, the people who are thinking about the human on the other side of the transaction seem to always provide far and above the best service, and then are able to get the best prices and the best tips, whatever it is, because the person on the other side of the service felt so well taken care of. Right. Does that circle back to putting on your gas mask first? I think so, because if you're not taking care of yourself to a point where you can show up in a clear state of mind and provide excellent service to the people you're serving, then you start making really bad decisions. You start kind of getting into concern for yourself because you're not in the right place, and that's just naturally going to take precedent over your concern for the people you're serving. So it's like, if you don't have your own house in order, there's zero chance of you, not zero chance, there's a much lower chance of you being able to show up and perform at an exceptional level to be a great provider of the services you're bringing.
Well played. Well played. Yes. First off, back to the server note, that is a point well made, my friend. You're correct. The engagement with the guests is so genuine that the thought process going into the day, especially, oh man, you make me think about some of the best server trainers that trained me, bartenders that I worked with, and just people that I learned from, even managers. I mean, the ones that really wanted you to win, that's all they talked about was just have fun, engage with the guests, really want to know, really want to know how their day is going, really want to care enough to make their experience a good one for each table, for each guest. And you're right. When you concentrated on the experience and just taking care of them, you didn't have to worry about how much tip you was getting. You didn't have to worry about it, because it just, at the end of the day and at the end of the week, you just would realize you had an amazing week, and it wasn't any calculated anything that you could come up with to make the money. You just enjoyed the people and made them feel special while they were there, made them forget about whatever bad day they may have been having, and just in the moment. So yeah, you're right. That was a point well played. And to the point of putting your mask on first, that is the thing we have to do. We have to take care of ourselves, and in order to show up for anybody else, we have to not only take care of ourselves, grooming and our nutrition and mental health and physical health by working out and all of that. That's the given. But I cannot advise you. I can't counsel you. I can't do any of those things if I haven't gone through the process myself. And if all I think I'm going to do is step into the realm of videography, learn a few things about a camera, and now all of a sudden in 2 years, I'm a subject matter expert, I'm not. haven't been in this long enough to experience the things that you experience doing projects to even be able to tell somebody that. I can only tell you the basics, and if all I'm doing is telling you the basics, that only is getting me so far as being able to share knowledge and wisdom. So you're right. You got to put your mask on first. You've got to go through the process. You got to go through the fire. You've got to go on the journey, but just enjoy the journey. Just enjoy the day-by-day process of going through it and being on the other side of the beginning stage and immediate stage to being a subject matter expert eventually. And then we can share. We can really truly share and make a difference in people's lives. So well played, my friend. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Get the talent before you start trying to charge the talent prices. But once you have the talent, recognize it and charge the talent prices.
Right. Yeah. Don't be scared to do it then. But you got to get there first. Can't put the what is the old saying? You can't put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. You're not going
too far.
Anywhere. You're gonna get run over by the horse, by the way.
Yeah, that's not a
good
strategy.
Yeah, that's not a good strategy at all. To the point of putting my mask on first, I saw and see an opportunity to use my skill sets in videography and content creation to create content for a business that I went to yesterday. So speaking of the M3, it's got a leak, and one of the things I already knew I needed to change the valve cover gaskets, and so I've got a oil leak that's coming from that, and it actually has been pretty bad. There's a belly pan that's under the car that protects it. It's metal or aluminum that protects it from rocks and debris, smacking against the transmission and lines and all that kind of stuff. So, but in that, because of the small but continuous leak, it pools after a while in that pan and then eventually drips over. So I noticed that because it had been sitting all winter, and as I put some winter tires on it and start driving it a little bit more, I noticed that it was there, but I also had a pool of what's called DCT fluid, dual clutch transmission. That's the type of transmission it has. And I took it in to get an inspection before I actually get it serviced. And the guys are amazing. Not only did I enjoy the Cars and Coffee that they started last year, they let us come in and walk through the shop and look at some of the JDM cars. That's the Honda imports, Toyotas and stuff like that, like Toyota Supras and some Bills that they have in there on lifts, and everything was just, man, it looks so good, and the camaraderie of car enthusiasts. Great place. I hadn't had any service done with them, so I thought about it last week because I was supposed to go down into Illinois to a shop down there that I know. But with the leak going on, I'm like, man, I don't want a chance driving it down there, and it's worse than what I think it is. So let me I got to find something local. And they're just a few miles away from me. So I remembered them just because of the conversations that we had, how genuinely they love people. They really enjoy what they do. And I remembered them, and I reached out to them, set up the appointment, and I went to them, and you couldn't have asked for better service. It really took the time to take me under the car to look at some different things, say, hey, here's what's going on. We'll talk about the cost a little bit, of course, a little bit later when we get estimates done. But they just really poured into me and just said, hey, first off, love the car. Second off, here are the things that's going on. You're right. The valve cover gasket is definitely one. And you're also right, the dual clutch transmission. But let me back up to the beginning. We went on a ride. I let him drive it too. And he enjoyed the drive. And I was also getting it checked for a suspension squeak. And I had changed out some suspension parts last summer, and I thought that would get rid of this squeak. And we went to drive, and I'm on the passenger side, which I'm never on the passenger side. Uh, and I hear the squeak more pronounced on that side because that's where it's coming from. And I keep saying to him, "Hey, do you hear it?" And he's like, "No, I don't hear it." I'm like, "Man, what is up with me? Am I hearing things?" And we would keep going over. It doesn't do it over every bump. I guess it's just a certain type of angle maybe you hit or whatever. And I'm saying, "Oh yeah, that's it." And he was like, "I don't hear it." I'm like, man, what is going on, bro? So finally, I pointed out a couple more times, and he was like, "The squeaking." He said, "So you're hearing that?" He said, "No." He said, that doesn't sound to me to be coming from the suspension." He said, "I was hearing that, but I was ignoring it because I'm listening for specific things to the suspension." And he said, "I tell you what, when we get back, I'm not even charging you to look at suspension. I'm going to do it anyway because I don't think it's a suspension problem. We'll do our inspection. We'll feel around. There's some things you normally do to kind of twist on suspension parts, and you look at bushings and you do stuff with tires to see if there's any movement." So he says, "I'm going to do that, but I'm not charging you anything because I don't think that is that. I think the car is just aged now. It's a 2012. It's aged now." And he even said with his 2013 Subaru, he said, "Man, it's in immaculate condition. But even, with me over the last couple of months, I'm starting to hear little squeaks and squeals that has nothing to do with suspension. It's gotten old. It could be something in the glove box. It could be something under the dash, which is what it sounds like." He said, "That's probably all it is. You just probably got to, if you want to tear that back and figure out what's going on, then you can. But I'm not charging you for suspension. It's not that." Value. Transparency. Because oftentimes the biggest thing about going to mechanics is that we fear that they're going to try to rob us and just make us pay for stuff we don't even need. And that's one of the main reasons I begin to DIY or do-it-yourself projects on my cars, because I've made mistakes in the beginning. And I'm like, man, I know had I taken this somewhere and they did what I did, they would have said something was wrong with it, and they're now charging me for what they messed up. And it's sad that there are places like that, probably more than the shops like these guys. And their shop is called Boosted Warehouse, so shout out to them. Angel and, oh man, I can't think of my other gentleman's name. There's two guys that own it. But Angel was the guy that was talking with me. And yeah, there's very few shops like that are really transparent and really talk with you about stuff like that. Let me speed this up a little bit. So let me get to the pain point. One, I want to solve, the issue. I want to solve their issue and help them produce content. It's slow right now. The economy is crazy. Things are high. Shipping costs is high. People aren't, really doing a lot of stuff with their cars right now, especially if you own more than one car. And this particular car, these kinds of cars are just for the weekend, for shows, stuff like that. So we can hold off on spending a lot of money. So they're getting work for oil changes, stuff like that, but not maybe not a lot of the big projects. So of course, we're getting into spring, so I want to create content for them and then push a campaign so people know that they're there. Because I remember I didn't know that they were there. And I've got guys that has gone to that same shop in Illinois that don't know that they're here. So I want to help them, especially if that is a pain point of getting foot traffic there and eyes on their shop, because they deserve to have people come, because they are definitely trustworthy. They have gone above and beyond to show that transparency that we need so much from a mechanic shop. So that's the pain point that I see that they have, and I want to show my value to them to do so. And here again, here's the pain point even for me, and it's not really a pain point, but here's the thing for me as we talk about helping people, is that I'm like, I don't want anything to help you.
Better
Other
charging
than
something.
now, I'm not going to get it twisted. Me having them on my reel, my video reel that I've done work for them, by all means,
Mm-hmm.
that's a
Mm-hmm.
given. But I really don't want anything from them because I get it. You're trying to generate revenue. You're trying to get foot traffic in. So all I'm trying to do is just say, hey, I can do that for you. In fact, just let's go through a trial run. Let's get some customers in, and we can revisit contracting me or hiring me to do the work later.
Mm.
And that's what I've been doing. That's what I was doing last night when I texted you at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had just finished going through some stuff with that, and then the other things were going on in my mind, especially about the studio and stuff like that. But that was the thing that I'm doing now for myself, that in the end it helps someone else. And I would say maybe to that point, and of course you can shine some light on that. What I'd say to that point is doing for yourself doesn't mean that you're not helping someone. But the thing is, I want to do the work. And creating the content and creating promotional video for them, for me, is doing the work, because now I get to use my creativity to come up with concepts and to execute them, and then in the end bring them more foot traffic to generate revenue.
You better track that shit.
Of course.
You put numbers all over that. I mean, like, I love the concept, but to the point of putting your own mask on first, if you don't turn that into a case study, if I improved revenue in a slow period by X number of dollars, given. Return on ad spend, increased foot traffic of X percent, that's a good opportunity.
That's a given.
Free work, man. I actually just offered to do some free work too. People will tell you not to do free work, but it depends, right? It depends on if you already have the background. It depends on what you got. I love that. I love you helping them out. And I do agree. Sometimes doing something for yourself is helping somebody else out. That's the razor edge to walk, because a lot of us that are starting out, we don't have the confidence to charge. In this case, it's not that you don't have the confidence to charge. You just want to help these dudes out. You've already been shooting cars for so long. You know exactly what you need to do, what you can do. So it's not like you're putting yourself in jeopardy. Whereas when I was starting out, I was getting ready to do a lot of free work just because I felt like I needed to have work to show, which you do. But if you don't have other streams of revenue, are you putting yourself at risk by doing that? Almost certainly. It's a really careful balance to strike. And I like the distinction you made of, this is going to be good for me to put on my show reel to say I help people out. I already know I can do it. I know the value that it's going to bring, and I'm able to keep track of what that return is to create something that generates me future revenue. And at the same time, I'm building my community and helping my neighbors here build their business up, and making sure these guys that are doing outsized value get recognized for that value, which is, it's funny how often the people that are doing the best work, they don't market because they spent all their time doing the best work. So it's like, they're like, why would I be marketing? I'm busy doing amazing things. They don't say it that way, but
right.
Really great intentions get clouded over, and because you don't spend money on marketing and getting out in front of people and figuring out that aspect of the business. Man, I used to think marketing was the devil, and now I realize it's pretty much the cause and cure of everybody's problem. Once you have a good product or a good service, if you're not investing in that marketing, you're just getting taken advantage of by the dudes who are putting out their silly TV billboard ads to bring you into a fucking scheme.
Subpar.
Those bad mechanics we're talking about. Trust the Midas touch and take your car to Midas, and suddenly what was an oil change turns into, well, your radiator's leaking and it's going to be $1,600 to fix it. I actually had that situation. I went to Midas to get an oil change. They told me something was busted and they wanted to charge me $900. I took it to a shop down the road and they were like, yeah, everything's good. We can change your oil for $60. Take my car there every time. I have not left them for 6 years. Tire changes, oil changes, anything goes wrong, I go to Howard Auto first. And then if they can't do it, I'll find somebody else. But they've been my folks. It's
bad players in every industry. It doesn't
yeah,
matter what industry it is. There are some very bad players that if you do not do your homework, do your due diligence, and sometimes you get
yeah,
taken, and sometimes
yeah,
you do get taken having done the most homework, but then it's the fact that you didn't follow your intuition because you was feeling something was weird about this, but you say you're just gonna go ahead and go through it anyway,
yeah.
and still end up having to learn a hard lesson. So, but
If the
there's some
mechanic is
bad players.
smiling when he quotes you, if the mechanic is smiling when he quotes you the price, run away. He shouldn't be smiling about, hey, it's going to be $1,200.
Like, yeah,
Just fucking shit eating grin. Yeah, sounds good. No, you're right.
yeah,
And to your value, transparency, trust,
hmm
and then marketing.
hmm yeah, yeah. And I could see, and I for whatever reason, I sense the apprehension. And here's the catch to it too. I sense
Mm,
the apprehension, and I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's anything necessarily personal with me. I don't know if
mm-hmm,
it's just okay. So what's the string that's attached to this? Like I have no
mm-hmm,
string attached. I'm
mm-hmm,
I'm I'm being transparent as well that hey, I do get something from it. It just as far as what I can show is the work that I've done.
mm-hmm,
But the real gain is for you, at least for
mm,
now. And then when you see the value, and that's really all it is. When you see the value, it's almost like what's the thing um, that maybe some of these infomercials do, or even commercials, these products like you buy
mm.
it now, you got
30-day
what
money back
30-day
guarantee.
money back,
Yeah.
right? So you can try it, and hey, if you see we're right, then you keep it. We should be good. If you don't see we're right, then hey,
Mm-hmm,
no questions asked. You give it back, and we'll refund you. And it's the same kind of in this sense. It's like, hey, you don't owe me anything financially, just an opportunity. And upon you seeing the value that I see that it can bring for you and create for you, and for longevity, for the long haul, not just today, not just this season, forever,
mm-hmm.
then then we can negotiate what that looks like. But other than that, I'm truly just wanting you to see what I see, but let my work show you
Mm,
that, not just me spending time advising you or
mm-hmm,
consulting you on how to do it. Let me
mm-hmm.
actively do it so that you can see it.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Get those men a YouTube channel. That's a great way to generate business. Man, I see nothing but opportunity in
Bro,
there.
they
Hey,
have no
call me in.
idea. They
Call
have
me
no
in,
idea.
Chief. I'm ready to strategize.
Come on, man. They have the shit. Hey, you in, bro. You are in. Like some people sometimes, even you small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, there are some
Mm,
people that genuinely are trying to help you. They
mm-hmm.
really see what it is that you are bringing to the community.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, just like the salesman, I could have just taken it like I did then. Oh, you're just trying to get me off my mark
Mm-hmm.
to be on this.
Mm-hmm.
And truly and honestly, if he didn't believe in me, he wouldn't have even given me that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see that then. I see it now, but I didn't see it that day. I just was like, I'm taking it and I'm getting my M3. But
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody out there that's trying to, really do something through action for you, and you have to see the transparency for what it is. Maybe you see it today, maybe you don't see it till 10 years later, like I did.
Mm.
But there are some good actors that are out there that see what you're genuinely doing and want to through their actions help you out. So just be mindful that
Yeah.
they're there.
Yeah.
Be mindful that they're there.
Some of us just love seeing other people win.
That's it, man.
And if you don't love seeing other people win and you keep on winning, you're going to turn into Mark Zuckerberg. So I would rather you weren't be in business because I don't really like Mark Zuckerberg. But that's a conversation for another day.
I see. You
saying.
had to do it. You couldn't help yourself.
To me, the best business owners love seeing other people win, and that's why they're in business. And then you see the businesses that love winning for themselves, and they end up like a fucking Facebook or like the shitty Midas that I went. If you love seeing other people win, I hope you win all day, every day. If you're just trying to get as much money as you can, I hope your business goes out of business tomorrow. No offense, no judgment. You're just not helping us out here because we got work to do.
It's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen anyway. That's just
had to go prickly. I don't know.
Yeah, those things will happen anyway. So
I got a condition, AB. I don't know why I always got to poke the bear, man.
Hey, man, you wouldn't be
what it is.
You wouldn't be wolf if you didn't. You're a wolf.
It's true. I know that. I don't know where this comes from. We were on just such a pleasant conversation, and it's okay. Bring us back. Are we landing the plane? Okay. I'm getting. I'm off the rails.
We're gonna land the plane.
Fuck you, Facebook.
We're gonna land the plane right there. We are taxiing in.
If you don't drink Big Red, then fuck you.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Do you know that movie? I'm sorry.
I don't remember.
Get us out of here.
I've heard it and I don't remember.
Talladega Nights, man, the best Will Ferrell movie of all time.
Oh my God. I'm
all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Hey man. There's a Will Ferrell movie. Matter of fact, it's Jamie Foxx, Will Ferrell. It's called Strays.
Yeah, I just saw that. I want to see that.
Oh, I want to see.
I didn't see the movie. I just saw the trailer.
I saw the trailer. Right. I saw the trailer last night on YouTube. I got to see it. That
I saw Cocaine Bear yesterday. Also, have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen that.
My boy and I were dying laughing in the theater, bro. That shit is ridiculous. Elizabeth Banks is a funny lady. It is pure slapstick funny. It's like if you're a '90s fan of '90s comedy, that's some good movie.
That's good. You know what else to see? And I had already started watching this movie. I didn't finish it. What is it? Everything Elsewhere.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
All at once. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Of course, they killed the Oscars, but I had watched. I think I had watched maybe a third of it before the Oscars, and I hadn't finished because I was off TV and off a lot of watching a lot of stuff. But that movie is hilarious.
Yeah, that movie
it is
wild.
It's a good movie, and I love what the actual story was about. I love how they tied that story in, and I can see why. So basically, I did finish that last night, but I can see why it won the award that it won, because it wasn't so much about high quality cinema and high budget, everything that could blow up. And I mean, there was some cinematography in there that was very good, but it really authentically was taking all elements of emotions to tell a story in such a different way. So I can see why they won. I can see why they swept the Oscars. I can see why they did it, man. That was a great movie. If you haven't seen that movie, that is a movie to watch. That's a movie to watch. Great movies. Got to see Cocaine Bear. Got to see Strays. And
probably Everything Everywhere All at Once is the only one that's remotely related to what we've talked about today. But the other two look good. Cocaine Bear is very fun. Yeah. There's no lesson to be learned in that movie, but
just pure entertainment.
Yeah. Put your gas mask on and then go watch Cocaine Bear, because that shit, you'll need an oxygen tank for some of those scenes. I'm going to be real.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Man, we love doing this right here. We appreciate all of you that are listening, that are watching on YouTube. We're here to see you win. We're here to see you win while we are going through it ourselves. We have some high expectations of ourselves. We believe in ourselves, and without believing in ourselves and taking action, there's no way we can sit here and try to share any of our stories, any of our knowledge and wisdom from them to help you along with yours. And I think I've said it before, the biggest thing that sets us apart from anyone else out there is that most people that are sharing with you have already really done it. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that they have done it, but they're doing it at such a high level. The relatability is pretty wide. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. That's what mentors are for. Mentors are people that have done it and can reach back and grab you by the bootstraps and show you and encourage you step by step how to do it. But at the end of the day, it still is on you to believe in yourself enough that you begin to execute. So we're pulling for you, we're praying for you, and we're wishing you the best that whatever it is that you're doing on your creative journey will come true and come through.
I love sharing the messy middle. And I think the more we can share the messy middle, the more we can recognize where we can help each other out. Because I wouldn't have known I can help AB with the little brand strategy project if he wasn't telling me about him going through the process even now. So don't be afraid to start, and don't be afraid to share your messy bullshit, because all that perfectly curated, I run $1 billion business, I scale 10-figure companies stuff, we don't need all that. We need more small businesses doing what small businesses do. Cheers. Love y'all.
Salute on that one.
Salute.